Thanks for joining me today for part 4 of our 5-part series this week on fake news, lies we believe about God, and the ensuing damage that can cause. Here's something for us to think about today regarding what the real sin in the Garden of Eden was. And it directly relates to what happened at the cross. Arguably, the main purpose of the cross was the defeat of Satan and the powers of darkness. So, what specifically had Satan done wrong in the first place? Well, Satan lied to the universe about the heart and the nature of God. Satan was the original perpetrator of fake news. The problem of sin is universal and cosmic. It's not just about human sinning. There's something much larger at stake. Look at this. Satan said in Eden, "Did God really say don't eat?" See, immediately we can see that the character of God was at the very foundation of sin in the whole universe. Satan put the question on the very nature of God. Did God say? Satan put the question on the goodness of God. He was saying, a good God would never really hold back anything from you. He's holding out on you. Can you really trust him? Well, Adam and Eve believed that lie, and only after they believed the lie did they then act. Immediately, the fake news went out. God can't be trusted. Now, look at what the Apostle Paul writes later on about Eden, 2 Corinthians 11:3. He says, "But now I fear that you will be tricked just as Eve was tricked by that lying snake. I'm afraid that you might," now get this, "stop thinking about Christ in an honest, sincere way." Here's Paul's reference to the first sin, original sin, if you will, although that word's not in the Bible, the first fake news. The evil one lied about God, the greatest sin of all. Then Eve believed that lie. She stopped believing the truth about what Jesus was really like, and a wrong view of God ended up causing the sin that messed everything up. And what was then passed on by Adam and Eve to each of us was belief in the lie that God was not good, God was not to be trusted, and now that we messed up, he's angry and he's going to get us. And they became afraid. See, that's the sin of the world that Jesus took away. God has never been offended or surprised by our inability to be perfect as he is perfect. I mean, he knows everything. He knew before he created us what we would do. Every parent who has kids know that their kids are not going to be perfect. God wasn't surprised by that. Behavior modification is not God's great concern. The sin of the world that he is concerned with is our believing lies about him and his goodness. So Jesus came and took that sin away. We no longer have to believe those lies. Now, many of us do, but we don't have to. And now we're hearing the truth. So God responds with the gospel to put the sin record straight. He sent Jesus. 2 Corinthians 4:4-6. "The God of this age," Paul writes, Satan, "has blinded the minds of unbelievers so that they cannot see the light of the gospel." Satan keeps unbelievers' minds blinded about the truth of the gospel that will save us. The mind here refers to our thoughts and our thinkings about the gospel. So what is the gospel that Satan lies about? Going on, 2 Corinthians 4. "The God of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers so that they cannot see the light of the gospel that displays the glory of Christ, who is the very image of God." Unbelievers are not despicable. They're not despised by God. They're not deserving of eternal punishment. They're blind. Parents, if you have a child who is born blind and they knock over an expensive vase that they don't see and they break it, you don't punish that child. I mean, they couldn't see the vase. As Jesus prayed for the people who killed him, "Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing." Same with us and God. He knows the problem is that we're blind. The Satan, which is how it should be translated every time, because that article "the" is there in the original text, meaning enemy or adversary, a figure who brings evil and temptation, who is known as the accuser, the liar, the deceiver, the one who leads humanity astray. It's really important that we get this. The gospel is the good news that Jesus, as the image of God, reveals the truth about God. The gospel's not potential good news that if you get everything exactly right and say the right thing and do the right thing with the right attitude and are sincere and then have things that prove that you did it right, that then you may be able to get to heaven. No, that's not it at all. The gospel's not that Jesus came to save us from an angry father who otherwise will torch us forever. That is fake news. Those are lies from the evil one. The gospel is the good news that Jesus, as the image of God, reveals the truth about God. That's what the Apostle Paul says, which is true for you and me and for everyone. That's really good news. Folks, it's not good news if it's not good news for everyone. 2 Corinthians 4:6. God, who said, "Let light shine out of darkness," made his light shine in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of God's glory displayed in the face of Christ. That's the gospel. That's the gospel that undoes the original lie of the devil, that Jesus now comes and sets that straight and reveals the truth about what God is really like. John 1, verses 4-9. In Jesus was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shone in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. John came to bear witness of the light, that all through him might believe. Jesus was the true light, which gives light to every man coming into the world, that all through him might believe. That's the gospel, folks. Jesus came to show us the truth about God so that we would quit believing lies about God. That's the only way for us to have and experience and enjoy eternal abundant life that Jesus came for us to have. And we got to quit believing those lies and believe the truth. And many people around the world are starting to do that now. It's hallelujah time. All right, one more tomorrow. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.